Good morning, happy Thursday. I'd like to introduce my white sewing machine. It is just a straight stitch, doesn't have any zigzags. It's a kind of a beige rose color. And I think this is the sewing machine I will be using when I sew things for Raina. So, got these in the mail yesterday, kind of a rose gold. And I'm going to be using, this is a double gauze, a gray double gauze, light gray. 30 inches wide, and it's close to 90 inches long. Not exactly. I looked up a tutorial on how to make one of those baby slings, and it said 30 inches wide by 90 inches long and 3-inch sling rings. So I got mine from Amazon from this company. I don't know where I got the gauze. I've had it for a while. So I will get this machine threaded with some gray thread. I think it's kind of odd that this is all springy antenna-like. I'm not sure why. And I have 3 holes here. Always seems to be 3 holes. I've never used all 3 of these. You're always is listed to do 2. I just use the topmost and the bottommost. If I can get it through. There we go. Make sure my presser foot is raised. Put this through this retention disc assembly. Click it into place. Apparently it wasn't raised all the way. There's a little bitty loop inside of here. Let's see if I can get this on the first try. I'm guessing not. So after I get this threaded, which sometimes takes a couple seconds, I think I need to snip the tip of the thread. I'm going to just sew a hem around all of the double fold on all of the edges. And probably before I get to that, I'll have to go see the cat. The cat in the game shelf. I think she wants a treat. So here's the machine. I have the stitch length set to about 3.75. My stitch length goes from 1 to 6. Maybe I'll go down to 3. I had this folded and ironed as a double, fold it over and hold it over again. But this gauze didn't seem to hold the ironing very well. So I'm just doing it by hand when necessary. I didn't want to burn the fabric. It felt a little delicate, so I didn't hold the iron down too long. And the cat got her treats. She's on the shelf behind me. So this this will be the style of baby sling that I used when my kids were babies, so I'll be used to it. Hopefully, although it's been a while. We'll probably be doing a lot of babysitting. My daughter-in-law goes back to work in about a month and a half. And my son is still in college. He's going to be a math teacher, so he still has a couple, I think 2 semesters to go. She usually works evenings, and his school is usually during the day. So there'll be probably 4 or 5 hours in the middle of the day where their work and school overlap, and that's when we'll be watching the baby. So the reverse on this machine is this whole entire knob, and that I push in. I'll raise my presser foot. And now I'll go iron the other edges and finish sewing them. Hemming down a side. I think this is one of the short ends. And although double gauze isn't stretchy, it doesn't hold a nice crisp shape. So at the corner and return it, I have kind of boxed the corners a little bit, like a miter. Anyone who does woodworking. I'll pull it out here a minute and show you. So usually when I miter the corners, they're a little bit more together, but the gauze kind of stretched when I ironed it, so this mitered corner isn't quite as perfect. Might actually be nice though to have a little bit less bulk going through the rings of the fastener. Oh, my thread is getting stuck. There we go. And after I finish this side, I will just have one more of the, I think it's the long side to hem, and then we'll work on putting all of the fabric through the 3-inch rings. So I'm almost done with this 4th edge. This edge is the selvage. The selvage is the edge of the fabric that's actually, I think it's attached to some machine. Anyway, it usually doesn't fray the way the selvage is done. So got the double fold. Don't need a double fold for fraying purposes, since this edge won't fray any more than this little eyelash look that it has. But I think for stability, since with the double gauze, I think stability still needs the double fold. So I have about probably a dozen vintage sewing machines that I alternate using. I usually try to find them for a decent price. I don't like spending much more than $50. And I take them home and I clean them up and I oil them and I get them all working again. They don't always work. I have 2 vintage sewing machines that are by this brand, White. flight rotary, I think is what it used to be. And there's some of my favorite vintage sewing machines to use. This one is a straight stitch. It's a rose beige color. The other one is a light blue, and I think it also has a zigzag stitch. I have a few of this vintage Singer sewing machines. Another project that I'm working on today is a vest I'm making for my son, and I'll be using my vintage Singer Slant-O-Matic. So I have not yet seen a vintage sewing machine that has its own little thread cutter there, so I just use some little thread snips. Some of them have a thread cutter that's been attached here. They're usually dull and rusted by the time they, I don't know, by today, being vintage sewing machines, the little thread cutter that's sometimes attached here, you just take them off. So now that we have all of the edges sewn, I think what I'm supposed to do is fold this over, and all of it has to go through. So I guess I sew a little bit and scrunch it up, and sew a little bit and scrunch it up, and get all of this all through here and fold it over. So that's the next step. See if we can make this work. So I have it folded like that so far to start with, and I will start stitching. I think I'll put all this fabric up here so it doesn't fall down my lap. Let's see, put that there, lower my needle, reverse, pull that through, then we'll kind of scrunch it back here so the fabric gets scrunched, so we've got more to work with. Scrunch. All right, I'll finish this up and we'll come back and check on it in a little bit, see if it works. Here we are, almost done. Only this little piece here, and it's all scrunched up around here. Let's see. So it was easier than I thought it was going to be. I'll go ahead and make sure these edges are lined up here. Just kind of squish the fabric. Swivel it just a little bit. And there's that end. And I was supposed to put both rings through there. Oh my goodness. That's okay. That's okay. That means I get to seam rip everything. So both rings can be through there. So here it is finished. I didn't seam rip. Seam ripping through all those gauze didn't sound like fun. So I just cut off the first one and then folded it so it's over both of the rings at once, like it's supposed to be. And as you can see, it's really, really long. So it's okay that I cut off a couple of inches there. It didn't matter at all. And so this will go over the shoulder, and the baby is held in that pouch area there. And I'll try it out today or tomorrow when I see the grandbaby.